Have you ever had to choose between your life and everyone in school? I was in study hall when I noticed that the substitute security guard walking by looked exactly like my friend Crimson with a fake mustache on. We locked eyes, and he stared at me before slipping a folded piece of paper under the door. Everyone was too distracted to notice it, so I walked over and picked it up. You have the chance to live and run, but everyone else dies. My first thought was, this had to be some sick prank. But then I saw a small black device with a red button on top. He held it up, making sure I could see it clearly through the glass. I went back to my seat trying to think. 30 kids in the room, including my best friend Brendan, who was sitting 2 rows over. Mrs. Larson at her desk grading papers. The girl I'd liked since freshman year doing her calculus homework by the window. All of them just going about their day with no idea what was happening. I crumpled the note in my fist and tried to catch Brendan's eye. Tapped my pencil on my desk in the Morse code pattern we'd learned in Boy Scouts. SOS. He looked up confused, but I couldn't risk explaining. Instead, I mouthed 911 and pointed toward the door where Crimson was still watching. Another note slid under the door. This time it said 60 seconds to decide. Crimson was holding up his phone now, showing a timer counting down. My mind raced through the options. If I ran out right now, I could probably make it to the exit before anything happened. But what about everyone else in the room? What if this wasn't a joke? I stood up and my chair scraped against the floor. Mrs. Larson looked up asking if I needed something. I couldn't speak. My throat felt completely dry. Brendan noticed something was wrong and started to stand up too, but I shook my head at him. Mrs. Larson, I think I'm going to be sick. The words came out strangled, but she bought it. Go ahead to the nurse. She waved toward the door. 40 seconds left on the timer. I walked toward the door, but instead of heading straight out, I pretended to stumble. Knocked into Jessica's desk, sending her papers flying. She yelped and everyone turned to look. While they were distracted, I grabbed the classroom phone off Mrs. Larson's desk and shoved it in my hoodie pocket. Crimson was still watching through the window. His fake mustache had started peeling off on one side, but his expression was deadly serious. The device in his hand looked real enough. Some kind of trigger or detonator maybe. I could pull the fire alarm. It was right there on the wall next to the door. Everyone would evacuate and whatever Crimson had planned would be ruined. But the second I moved toward it, he shook his head and pointed at the device, like he'd press it the moment I tried anything. 30 seconds. I opened the door slowly and stepped into the hallway. Crimson smiled and motioned for me to follow him, but I had other plans. The moment the door closed behind me, I yanked the phone from my pocket and dialed 911 while walking. Crimson was too focused on watching me to notice my hands in my hoodie. 911, what's your emergency? The operator's voice was barely audible. Bomb threat. Study hall room 204. Hurry. I whispered as quiet as possible. 20 seconds. Crimson was getting impatient. He held up the device and pointed down the hallway toward the exit. I needed to buy more time. Needed to keep him away from that classroom. So I did the only thing I could think of. I started running, but not toward the exit. I sprinted in the opposite direction, deeper into the school. Crimson's eyes went wide with rage. He chased after me, shouting threats about pressing the button. My sneakers squeaked against the polished floor as I took the corner at full speed. The hallway stretched out before me like a tunnel. Trophy cases blurred past on both sides. I could hear Crimson's heavy footsteps behind me getting closer with each second. My lungs burned as I pushed harder. The main office was just ahead, but it felt like miles away. 10 seconds. I glanced back and saw him gaining on me. His face was twisted with fury, and the fake security uniform flapped open, revealing regular clothes underneath. He was screaming something about ruining everything, about how I was supposed to be the coward who ran, how I was messing up his whole plan. I grabbed a trash can as I passed and threw it behind me. It clattered across the floor, and Crimson stumbled trying to avoid it. That gave me just enough distance to reach the office doors. I yanked on the handle, but it was locked. Of course it was locked. 8 seconds. I pounded on the glass with both fists. Could see the secretaries inside looking up startled. One reached for the button to buzz me in, but Crimson was already there. His hand clamped down on my shoulder like a vice. He spun me around and slammed me against the wall. 5 seconds. We were face to face now. His fake mustache had fallen off completely. The device was inches from my face, his thumb hovering over the red button. Through the window of a nearby classroom, I could see students working peacefully. They had no idea death was standing in their hallway. Wrong choice. His thumb started pressing down. I lunged forward and grabbed his wrist with both hands. We struggled for control of the device. It flew from his grip and skittered across the floor. We both dove for it. My fingers brushed the plastic just as his hand closed around it. He rolled away from me and stood up triumphant. Too late. He pressed the button. Full story on channel linked below.